Commissioner Mark Gardner, and our chairman is Commissioner Rice, and he's been snowed in Tahoe today and did not decide to make the trek down the hill. We're awaiting a third commissioner so we can establish a quorum. So to the public, we're reaching out to the two other commissioners. Commissioner Noasat had indicated prior to the meeting that he had a doctor's appointment and could not break it, and so therefore he will not be attending today. But Commissioner Tarkanian and Commissioner Hales, as well as Commissioner Rice, are supposed to be attending via Zoom. So I think, we did reach out to them?
Yes, Commissioner Gardner, this is Jennifer Davidson, County Manager for the record. I did speak with Commissioner Tarkanian, and he indicated he was having some technical difficulties jumping onto his Wi-Fi. He does have the meeting link and hopes to be on shortly. We are in the process of attempting to contact Commissioner Hales.
Okay, so we'll cool our heels for a few minutes. Easy to do in this climate, right?
Very easy. By the way, down there,
Commissioner Hales, Commissioner Rice is also online also, and so being the only commissioner in chambers, we have conferred, and with his agreement, I will be running the meeting this afternoon. So I hope you're in concurrence with that. So anyways, now that we have three commissioners, we do have a quorum, as I understand. That's all that's necessary, Mr. Ritchie. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order today at 3:04 by my clock, and we'll start out with a Pledge of Allegiance to be led this morning, or this afternoon, by County Manager Jennifer Davidson. Please all rise.
Thank you, members of the commission, members of the public. Please join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sounded like we have two echoes there. So, okay. This is a special meeting today to go over the canvassing of the vote that took place last Tuesday. Anyways, but we do run it as a regular meeting, so we do allow opening public comment and closing public comment, as well as the administrative agenda that we have posted. So at this time, public comment, I'll make the announcements regarding public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless additional time is granted by the board chairperson or myself today. The Board of Commissioners uses timing lights to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. You will see a green light when you begin, and I'm going to have to run the light system also today, so please indulge me your patience because I haven't really run it before. I've kind of had the opportunity to avoid that. Oh, and Commissioner Tarkanian, I want to also indicate that Commissioner Tarkanian has joined us as well. And so, and the reason I'm reading this off, Commissioner Tarkanian, I don't know if you heard earlier, but Commissioner Rice is snowbound up in Tahoe, so being the only one in chambers, I'll be doing this today. And where I left off, so you will see a green light when you begin, a yellow light which indicates you have 30 seconds left. You'll also hear a buzzer, and then and at that time you should wrap up your comments. Once the light turns red, please sit down. In addition to opening public comment will also be taken on administrative agenda items that are identified for possible action and closing public comment. If you plan to speak on a specific agenda item, we only have one today, so and that's for action, so you'll be able to speak on that, and then provide your public comment when that item is heard on that item if you have comments or questions in that time. Public comment must be limited to matters that are within the jurisdiction and control of the Board of County Commissioners. Public comment must be addressed to the chairperson and not to members of the public, so that the board may take future action on the issues that are raised by the public. So at this time, public comment will be taken on those items that are within the jurisdiction and control of the Board of County Commissioners. We ask you to please approach the microphone, the podium, sign in, and state your name. And once you state your name, your time will begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Jackson. I want to congratulate Amy on the well-run election. Everybody I have spoken to in our community thinks it is a very well-run, very fair election, unlike some around the country, but we feel that Douglas County did a very good job. So thank you very much. Also, your staff is extremely helpful. I had a few problems before the election, came down, talked to them, and they helped me work through it real easily. So again, thank you. And of course, since I'm here, I have a request to make. Johnson Lane needs a four-way stop at Fremont and Johnson. There's been 2 accidents up there. One was a fairly serious one, looked like a head-on collision between 2 automobiles. The second one I was in last winter. Northbound car, or the eastbound car didn't have to stop, came around the corner where I was stopped, slid on the ice right into me. If he'd had to stop, we wouldn't have hit each other. So I think that would be an excellent place for a very safety-minded county to put in a 4-way stop. And if anybody in the county says you can't do it, fire them. Thank you.
Additional public comment? And I have to turn that off and reset that. Okay, very good then. We'll close public comment and come back to the board. And approval agenda for possible action, approval of the proposed agenda. Board of Commissioners reserves the right to take items in a different order. We only have one, but this is just a common statement, okay? So anyways, we just have one. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Chairman Wes Rice and Vice Chair Charlotte Hales for second. Any discussion on the agenda? Since no discussion, once again, we only have one item. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, I believe. Okay. And we'll go into the administrative agenda. And we're going to, we should try to be able to keep this fairly short meeting today. The chairperson will read the agenda item into the public record and have the discretion to determine, okay. Anyways, item number 1, the only item for possible action, discussion and canvass of returns from the November 5th, 2024 general election, including entering an abstract of the results in the records of the Board of County Commissioners ordering the Douglas County Clerk to certify the abstract and transmit a report of the abstract to the Nevada Secretary of State in compliance with NRS 293.397. And our clerk treasurer, Miss Amy Bergens, will be doing this. That word ordering seems rather harsh, right?
I'm okay with it.
Anyways, okay, thank you.
All right, good afternoon, commissioners, and thanks for spending your Friday afternoon with me. We are here today to certify the results of the 2024 general election that was held in Douglas County on November 5th. But first, I would be remiss if I didn't start with some thank yous. This election year, as most of you know, started last October for Nevada, as that is when we started planning for the presidential preference primary that was held in February. The first ballots went out on Christmas Eve of last year. Between the 3 elections that were held this year, along with the clerks and their staff implementing the new statewide voter registration and election management system, which involved 4 mock elections this year, we are excited for the election cycle to be over. I cannot be more exhilarated at how well this election went. But the hard work was done prior to Election Day in the planning of each election and the training of staff and election workers to ensure that everything went seamless. There is no way for me to truly thank my staff. All I can offer is a humble thank you. The support that I received this year from each of them was inspiring, and I am beyond blessed to be part of such an amazing team of hardworking individuals. I also need to thank my election workers. Over 130 citizens stepped up throughout the year to assist with working the elections. Every single election worker trained on the new system to ensure that they understood the processes laid out for checking in a voter at the vote center. I also want to thank a couple of the other county departments. First, I want to thank Technology Services for their assistance with this election. We couldn't have done it without them. I also want to thank Community Services for all their help. The use of the county community centers is vital for us to have safe places to hold our elections. And of course, Indian Hills GID for allowing us to use their district office as the newest vote center here in Douglas County, servicing the northern part of the county, and the Washoe Tribe for their continued collaboration in allowing us to have a vote center at their community center. I also want to thank the amazing support of the Secretary of State's office for all of their assistance through the transition to this new system. Last but not least, I want to thank the commissioners and the community. I have watched multiple counties do their certification meetings today. As I watched them, I realized the level of support that I receive here in Douglas County, from the citizens to the elected officials to county staff. What an awesome thing to be part of such a beautiful community of people. Now, on to the certification of the election. I want to just give a couple of facts about what we saw here in Douglas County for this election. During the 2 weeks of early voting, we had 8,586 in-person voters. On Election Day, we had 4,025 in-person voters. The mail ballot breakdown was, as far as where they were dropped off, at the Douglas County Community Center, we received 3,885 mail ballots dropped off. That was through early voting and on Election Day. At the historic courthouse during early voting and Election Day, we saw 6,831 ballots dropped off. At Indian Hills GID, we saw 470. At Kale Community Center, there were 474. At TRE Community Center, 159. At the Washoe Tribe Community Center, 43. And Through the United States Postal Service, we saw 10,266 ballots mailed to our office. We had other roaming drop boxes, which includes a bipartisan team of election workers that stay with the roaming drop box. And at those other locations, we saw a total of 424 mail ballots dropped off. And then I also want to call out that during this last legislative session, a bill was passed for inmate voting, and we did have 5 inmates that asked for a ballot this election cycle. So the total in person was 12,611. We had our same-day registrations, which are provisional ballots. Those are people that come in to vote during the 2-week time frame prior to Election Day. We had 483 that my full-time staff handled every single one of those. That is by far the most that I think Douglas County has ever seen. We are usually around 100 to 120 during a general election. So that was a large increase. And total mail ballots was a little over 23,000. I also want to call out a couple of things that the community has felt was concerning. First, a lot of people are concerned that they're not seeing that their ballot, or they're seeing that their ballot was received, but not seeing that it has been counted, and that they don't have vote credit on the Secretary of State's website. I just want to clarify that vote credit is given after the canvass of the election. So sometime after this weekend, I would assume that the Secretary of State would implement or would push that through into your voter registration file when you go and check it. We also received a lot of negative feedback on how long it takes Nevada to count all the votes. Unfortunately, there is not much that we can do about that as county election officials. The laws, which are created and set in motion by the legislature, are written in such a way that mail ballots can still be accepted via the United States Post Office through the Saturday after the election. There is no way to predict how many we will receive, so we cannot finalize until after we have finished receiving the ballots in the mail. That is definitely a legislative change if that's something that we want to see revised. With that, I'll turn it over to the commissioners for anything that you would like to discuss or that you have questions about.
Thank you, Ms. Bergens, for your very comprehensive report. Commissioners, I'll go to, I don't see Wes on any longer, hopefully.
Oh, I'm here.
There he is, okay. You usually go last, so why don't we let you go first today?
Okay, I would like to commend the entire team. I have not received one report of any shenanigans whatsoever from Douglas County voters or the people who handled the vote. I was extremely proud of Amy, Ms. Bergens, and her entire team, and it seemed to be seamless. I know that I was delighted that I could turn my ballot in the first day that she was accepting ballots, and I'm sure that there were a lot of people that really enjoyed the process and avoided the lines that some other areas had. So thank you for all that you did. And again, kudos.
Thank you, and I apologize. I also want to say that majority of the people that are in the room today are my staff and election workers that worked tirelessly, and I asked them to be here today because typically I am the one that gets credit, but it was us. It was a team effort. So I'm just so grateful that everyone felt the importance of the integrity of the election being upheld in Douglas County, and they worked towards that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Rice. Commissioner Hales, did you have any questions?
I will agree with everything that's been said. I I wanted to experience using the voting machine, so I voted in person. And I appreciate, Amy, what you said about having an air of importance. And it was efficient, and there was an atmosphere that was very respectful of every voter. And I'm really grateful for the job you have done and your whole team, because it really was, from my perspective, top notch. So thank you.
Commissioner Tarkanian.
I don't have anything else to add. I think what's been said has been pretty good.
Thank you. And I'm sure you want this rubber stamp so we can get on with the serving, right? Okay. I do have some comments and some questions. I've indicated these questions to, most of them, I think, to Ms. Bergens in advance. These are not necessarily questions that I have, but questions that I've been asked by constituents to ask or have asked me, and rather than deluge your office with 20,000 questions, it's just easier for me to, it's a short list, but I would appreciate your indulgence in that regard. So, and I want to start off also by saying thank you and your staff, an incredible job, and like the other commissioners have experienced, very smooth run operation without any glitches that we saw whatsoever. The one observation I did make is that while we have our main voting area at the Community and Senior Center, I discovered during a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting the other day that we don't have a backup generator that would necessarily handle the situation should we lose power at that location. And so I think that's something that we're going to have to address as commissioners, that because besides emergencies that we might incur in our county, certainly I would consider that an emergency if we lost power in that location on election day. The others are smaller and we could move them, but not necessarily that one. So
we have contingency plans in place for things like that. And just for your awareness, every single piece of equipment that we have at each vote center is plugged in so that the battery life lasts if there is a power outage. They all have battery backups, but we keep them plugged in so that the battery stays charged, so we could continue to function for multiple hours on the battery life.
good to hear. Thank you. Number two, you mentioned the tremendous amount of volunteers that you had and paid staff also. And so I had questions as late as last evening about why people who want to volunteer to be election workers can't volunteer versus have to be a paid staff member. Can you address that?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. A lot of the election workers are paid $12 an hour. So I don't think any of them are doing it for the money. And sometimes they do have election workers that sign up and they don't want the paycheck, but they don't have the option of opting out of receiving the money. So I usually tell them to just, donate it to a good cause or something, because we don't have the option of not paying them. That's part of the law.
Okay. So it probably puts them into a higher tax bracket, right? I mean, that's why they probably don't.
That $12 an hour, I'm telling you. Yeah.
That was a joke.
Yes.
Okay. The question came up regarding poll watchers. What is the procedure in regards to poll watching, and what specifically do they do?
That's something that I hear a lot prior to an election. People will call my office and want to know how to get trained to be a poll watcher. Poll watchers are not run through the Office of Elections. Poll watchers can be anyone. There's no training. There are certain organizations that will train people to be a poll watcher. However, my office does not train them or employ them or assist in organizing that in any way, shape, or form. So there was a lot of a conversation about the observers this election cycle. Some of our vote centers are fairly fairly small. And we have designated areas and designated amount of chairs for the observers, and we had more observers than we had chairs. So it's first come, first serve. We don't keep track of what party you're with or anything like that. It is first come, first serve. And if someone wants to sit there for 12 hours on election day and they were the first ones there, they can do that. There is no criteria for an election observer or a poll watcher, poll observer, other than we have a form that is subscribed by the Secretary of State's office that you must sign, basically saying that you understand the rules that you have to follow. Can't use your phone, those types of things, conversations that you can versus can't have. And then you have to wear a name tag.
You have to be a registered voter? Do you have to live in the county? Do you have to live in the state?
You don't even have to be a citizen of the United States to observe. We have international observers that come to watch the elections.
Very good, thank you, because I know that there was some questions regarding that, and that was disturbing, right? So, okay. Okay, so the other questions, as I understand it, it was just shortly before the election or during the election, the Supreme Court of the state of Nevada ruled that your office had to accept ballots through the mail that potentially did not have postmarks. Can you tell us about that process?
Correct. So the way that the law is written and the direction that was provided by the Supreme Court was that mail ballots are accepted through the Saturday after the election. However, if they are not postmarked by Election Day, they are not accepted. So if the postmark is for the day after the election, they are not accepted even if we receive them by that Saturday. And if the postmark is missing, if it has no postmark, it will be accepted through the Friday after the election, not through the Saturday. So if we received one on Saturday that had no postmark, it would be determined as being turned in too late.
Okay. Remind me to go back to poll watchers for a second here, but no postmarks. Now, what if a resident tries to turn in a ballot on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday at either here at your office or perhaps putting it in the mail? How are those treated?
Believe it or not, people do try to do that, and we do not accept it. We cannot accept them. As far as dropping it off at the post office, excuse me, I obviously have no control over that. If they drop it off and it's not postmarked, but it gets to us by Friday, we would accept it because we don't know when it was dropped off. I will say that the post office has been amazing. They have a new postmaster here in Minden, and he's stellar. He has the communication, and this has been a wonderful election year as far as the collaboration between the elections office and the post office.
Thank you. Because I know there was some concerns of folks trying to vote after the time period of Tuesday and trying to turn in ballots somewhere else, whether it be the post office or here. I'm going to go back to poll watchers real quick, only because the poll watchers are designated in seats, right? So they can't, basically the public is asked, they are not allowed to watch the process of signature verification. They can't overlook somebody's shoulder, and they can't go up to a voting machine and oversee that process as well. Is that so?
No,
what are their limitations?
We have a designated area with chairs where they can sit, and there is a stanchion in front of them. That's where observers are allowed, and it is. The location that we choose at each vote center is a location where they have a good view, but they can't hear personal information. It's vital for us to ensure that the personal information that the voters are giving when they're checking in or when they're same-day registering is kept confidential. We don't want observers to be able to overhear all of their answers or to be able to sway anyone in one way or another.
Thank you. I noticed also when I was looking at the ballot, and some people have asked this question, is on some of the races it says none of the above, and other races it does not. How is that prescribed?
State law. It's in state law as to which races on the ballot have none of the above.
Okay, so those are statewide offices or full state election offices, so
Federal.
to speak. In other words, everybody can vote on those, but the local races, they don't have that designation. Is that right?
Correct.
What if somebody were to somehow lose to none of the above?
It defaults to the person that received the most ballots or the most votes. It's
Person who received the most ballots?
correct.
Okay, okay, interesting. So is there any benefit or purpose of having that on the ballot, do you think?
I think it's
Maybe
just
I'm asking
another.
for a personal question.
I think
answer
it's
here.
just maybe just a way to give the voter the opportunity to
Express their- yeah,
express their
okay.
disdain for both. I don't.
Okay. It has been proposed, I talked to our assemblyman quite a bit, quite often, Ken Gray, and he has proposed that he would like to see a change in our election law here in the state of Nevada, and you somewhat addressed this, that ballots, he would like to see state statute changed to where all ballots must be into your office, your hands, no later than 7 o'clock on election day. Would you support such a amendment to our NRS in that regard?
I think that the people across the state of Nevada have spoken that they want results faster. In order for us to have results faster, we have to clean up the election laws to ensure that it's not a matter of the clerks and the registrars dragging our feet. It is the way that the law is written that makes it take so long for us to get final results. So yes, there would definitely have to be some cleanup to the election law in order for that to happen.
And of course, the other issue we have there is, and it's been universally accepted, appears to be, well, you said over 23,000 mail or drop-off ballots. You consider them the same, right? Whether it be put in the mail or dropped off at your voting locations or your boxes, whatever. But that has been embraced by our county very, very well, and appears to be so across the state. And of course, if you have, and I don't know how many you said were turned in the actual day, the Tuesday, so you're.
I didn't pull that. I didn't
You have
pull that
that,
information.
you don't have that number? Okay, but.
It was minimal. I want to say it was about 2,000, 2,500. It was very low.
That's
The
still a
majority of the
substantial
mail
task.
ballots
That's
that we
almost
received
10%.
were right, but comparatively to 2022, where it was like 12,000, we were thrilled.
Yeah, okay. So that's what the public needs to understand, I think, is that you can't do anything with those ballots that are dropped off or put in the mail that you receive from the post office. You can't do anything with those on election day. So those have to then be received by your office on Wednesday. You go back to work after the election, checking, verifying signatures, and deconstructing those ballots, right?
Correct.
So that's why we could see a significant swing in who might have won that election based on that turn-in on that particular day.
Correct.
So I think that would happen even if we demanded that all ballots be in by election day too. So you couldn't do it until the following day. So you have until Saturday to receive mail and deconstruct those ballots. How many do you have any idea, or do you remember how many you got in actually on Saturday?
7.
Saturday.
I paid overtime staff to come in so that we had a bipartisan team to walk across the street to the post office to get 7 mail ballots.
And you had to pay overtime,
We drove over
which
there
comes out
just
of
in
the county
case.
treasury, right?
It was a little excessive.
So that comes out of the county treasury.
It does.
Yeah, okay, troubling. So, once again, unfunded mandates by the state legislature, right? So,
Correct.
Yep, okay, coming out of my pocket, your pocket, and everybody else's pocket in the county, so disturbing, disappointing. The 483 provisionals, those are first-time voters?
The 483 provisionals are first-time voters. First in Douglas County, I should clarify.
Okay.
New to Douglas
Not
County.
previously registered in
Not
Douglas County.
previously registered in Douglas County.
Okay, thank you. And curing of ballots. Curing of ballots. Can you give us a number on that?
Curing.
Anyways, it seemed to be,
There
from
were-
what I could gather, it was a very, comparatively to the 83%, and that, congratulations on our voters in Douglas County, right? Except for the smaller counties that only have 1,000 or 2,000 voters, we were the highest percentage of voter turnout in the state. So congratulations and thank you to the voters of Douglas County for coming out and voting and performing your basic civic duty in my mind. So thank you very much. So, but when I looked at the curing of ballots, it seems like everybody seems to be getting the message about how to sign it and do those kind of things. So very, very few. And I understand we had teams of people working to get those cured. So congratulations once again to Douglas County. So I think that's it, really, believe it or not. I mean, I know I told you I only had a couple questions, but, as people understood this was coming about today. So anyways, with that, this is I don't have any other questions. Did what I said bring anything to mind, Commissioner Tarkanian, Rice, or Hales? Did you have any additional questions before we go to public comment?
No.
Nope.
Danny? Commissioner Tarkanian? Okay. I'll assume that's a no. So anyways, at this time then, before we come back for action, we will take public comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Kirk Walder, and while I'm a member of the Planning Commission, I offer these comments as a private individual. I fully support certification of the 2024 general election results for Douglas County. Our clerk, Amy Bergens, deserves the highest praise for her work on this election. The soundness of Amy's effort demonstrates the dedication she has given to the election process. She exhibits strong leadership skills and has committed herself to achieving the highest skill level and knowledge of the election process. She has recruited and trained over 100 election workers, some of whom are in the audience today. They also deserve your praise. And she is assisted by her outstanding clerk staff who mirror her skill and dedication to conducting fair elections. Amy conducts every election, of which there were 3 this year, with great integrity and strong ethical standards. Her work is transparent, impartial, and without bias. Commissioner Noestad often brings up the need for quality control in the conduct of county business. I can assure you that the process that Amy follows has the highest of quality controls. The various devices used, not just the voting machines, are tested and retested. They are safeguarded before, during, and after the voting process. Machinery is secured with numbered seals. The seals are recorded and verified by 2 people, and they are checked twice a day during the voting process. Finally, Amy puts in countless hours, working nights and weekends, to make certain every aspect of the election process goes smoothly. Her dedication is a testament to the importance she places on producing the best election product possible. Thank you.
You almost had a full minute left to continue to praise her. Okay. Additional public comment? Wow, okay. very good. Then we'll bring it back to the board. And what I would say, I hope you didn't feel like I was grilling you. That's not why but I did ask the questions quickly so that we could try to get out of here at a decent time tonight, right? So anyways, with that, Commissioner Hales, Commissioner Rice, Commissioner Tarkini, anything to add before we entertain a motion?
I'm ready to make a motion, sir.
A rare thing for you to do this year, so we'll entertain a motion.
I don't normally get to do this, so I will. I move that we approve the canvass of the returns of the November 5th, 2024 general election, including entering an abstract of the results in the records of the Board of County Commissioners, ordering the Douglas County Clerk to certify the abstract and transmit a report of that abstract to the Nevada Secretary of State in compliance with NRS 293.387. Thank you.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Rice, seconded by Commissioner Hales, to approve the canvass of the returns from the November 5th, 2024 general election. Sensing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. And I don't know if Commissioner Tarkini, are we still with us? He dropped off. Okay, so the vote is three to approve and 2 abstentions, right? Would that be a correct vote? 2 absent. Is that, okay? Yes. Yes, that's right. They're not here to abstain, right? So, okay. Yes, so motion is approved 3-0. 3 with 2 absent. Yes. Okay, thank you. Not sure. Once again, thank you very much, Ms. Bergens, and what a comprehensive report. So I know the voters of Douglas County appreciate that and appreciate you, and so thank you. So with that, we will conclude that, and we'll go to closing public comment. At this time, public comment will be taken on those items that are within the jurisdiction control of the Board of Commissioners, or those agenda items where public comment has not already been taken. Public comment. Wow, don't everybody get up at once. Okay, very good. With that, we have nothing left on the agenda, so the meeting is hereby adjourned. And thank you, commissioners, for making it today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, Amy.